Hi, hello, and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we're going to be talking about monster books. Monster books are something I really love. I love anything with like a weird monster or vampires, werewolves, all that kind of thing. So I thought we'd talk about some recommendations for you to read. Now, as a monster lover, I feel like this is the perfect video pre-Valentine's Day just because, monster rom-coms and monster romances are amazing. But we're going to get into those later. To start off with, we're going to start with some classic monster books, and these are the classics. So starting with one, which I guess is technically a monster book, but I also wouldn't 100% clarify it a monster book, or I don't know, you'll see what I mean. But that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and this is one of my favorite classics of all time. I absolutely love this book so much, and I really adore Del Toro's adaptation and depiction of this. But this is the first sci-fi book. It's like the book that kind of spearheaded the sci-fi genre, and it is absolutely just such a beautiful work of art. If you haven't heard of Frankenstein or don't know what it's about, in this we follow Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who is setting out on this mission in order to create and reanimate a human. And from that we get Frankenstein's creation, or the monster, or Adam, whatever you want to call him, and we kind of follow those atrocities and everything that happens, and this is absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking, and one of the books that first started my love for monsters. Next up, we've got Carmilla. This is a really great and beautiful vampire book. This actually predates Dracula. It is one of the first vampire books, and a lot of what happens in Dracula, I believe, is based off of this as well. But this was originally written as a cautionary tale, basically against lesbians, which I think is so funny, but I absolutely love this. This is very short. I highly recommend listening to the audiobook because it is narrated so perfectly. But like I said, this is a sapphic vampire book. It is really fun, really beautiful, really monstrous, and just has done so much for what we know of vampires today, especially sapphic vampires. Then also we have got Dracula by Bram Stoker. I'm yet to finish reading this, but what I have read I did really enjoy. But like I said, this came out a lot after Carmilla, but it's still one of the big things in the genre of vampires and vampirism and that folklore, and still a really interesting book. And then finally we've got The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, another really interesting gothic classic and monster classic. This has got some other sort of stories in it as well with monsters, this specific edition, and this is a really interesting one looking at kind of the way that people use monsters to kind of hide their evilness and hide behind them to get away with things. Very fascinating and very interesting. Okay, now I'm gonna kind of break this into a few different parts because I've got some different monsters to talk about. So first, I think we're gonna go with vampires because that is the biggest stack of books I've got. Then we'll move on to werewolves because those kind of tie things together. And then we'll go on to like miscellaneous monsters and other kinds of monsters. So we're gonna start with my vampire stack. There is quite a few ones here. But first I wanted to talk about my favorite book so far of this year, which we're only early in the year, but I've already spoken about it lots, and that is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a really unique and interesting take on vampires. If you loved Sinners, I think you will really enjoy this one. But this is set in 1912. We follow a pastor in a small town in Montana, I believe, and we kind of follow him as he's journaling about some things happening in town. There's these random bodies that are turning up that they've been skinned, and they're trying to piece together what's happening. And then one day, a Native American man ends up walking in, and he's wearing like a pastor's robe or something like that, or a priest's robe, and comes in and says that he wants to confess a sin and wants to do a confessional. And we kind of follow him as he is telling this story and confessing his sin to this pastor, and the pastor is kind of going through his daily life as well outside of this, and the fucked up things that start happening. It is very quickly and soon revealed that this man is actually a vampire, and the pastor is trying to find out what he is doing in this town and whether he is somehow responsible for these bodies that are turning up. And this is just really interesting. The take on vampires in this is so unique and different, and something I've never really seen before with the way that they work, and I just found it to be so fascinating and such a harrowing and traumatic but beautiful read, and something I still am thinking about all the time, and I just could not stop reading. This is just an amazing book. Next up, I've got a Dracula retelling and then a Carmilla retelling. So the first one is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is a Dracula retelling specifically focused around Dracula's brides and Dracula's lovers and everything. This is told through different letters and everything, so it is an epistolary style book like The Buffalo Hunter as well, but that is journal entries and diary entries. But this is set after Dracula's bride has just killed him, and it's letters of her detailing everything that kind of happened and why she had to resort to this. This isn't my most favorite book, but I think a lot of people will really love this. The writing is so lush and beautiful, and it is just such a well done book. It's really queer as well, and very full-on and dramatic at times as well. Like, this was not a good relationship, it was a very toxic relationship, so it really looks at escaping that and what kind of pushed Constanta over the edge. It's a very beautiful and really nice book. Then also by S.T. Gibson, we've got An Education in Malice. This one is a Carmilla retelling. This is also really beautifully written, really lush as well. It's sapphic as well. Both of these books are queer, which I absolutely love, and I feel like a lot of vampires need to be queer. But this is a Camilla retelling. It's got a bit of a twist on it. It's set at a school, so it is a dark academia as well, and it is really dark and full of twists and turns and just so beautiful. Then the next two vampire books I want to talk about are part of a series, and they are the Immortal Dark books. So we have got Immortal Dark by Tika Skirma and then Eternal Ruin, which is the sequel. These are both such amazing books, also pretty unique as well. So these are dark academias as well, and we've got an entirely black cast of characters. All of the vampires in this are black, which is just amazing, especially after the era of what Stephanie Meyer did to vampires. This is just so refreshing. But these are really dark and heavy and fucked up, but so good and just amazing, and just absolutely, I love these books. They're just incredible. Like I said, these are dark academias. They are set at this kind of like college that is in this area that is completely fenced off and protected from the rest of the world. Only people that are related to these houses that live here can get there, and only specific vampires of these houses can get there as well. And we follow our main character, Kidan, who is trying to find out what happened to her twin sister. She knows that a vampire took her, she just doesn't know where she's gone. So she ends up going to this school called Uxley, which is where everything happened. It's where she used to live and her family lived and where her parents were murdered. And she's gone back there to try and find out what's happened to her sister. And we kind of look at her as she crosses paths with her family's house vampire who is trying to inherit the house. And she basically has to be there to stop him from getting it while piecing together what truly happened to her sister. This is violent, it is dark, it is brutal, it is just so beautiful. This series is just absolutely incredible. There is only 2 books out, but I just know this is going to be one of my favorite series of all time. If you like vampire books and want to read more vampire books, highly recommend these 2. Now we're going to kind of start to transition away from vampires and go into werewolves, but I've got kind of books that overlap with them. So the first one is a graphic novel. If you're after something a lot more lighthearted and slice of lifey and cute, then I really recommend Fangs. This is by Sarah Anderson. This is just like a little really cute graphic novel. It's about a vampire and a werewolf who start dating, and it's just like really cute little panels of their daily life, and I think it's just absolutely adorable. It's just so cute, such a nice art style as well, and yeah, it's just a very wholesome and sweet read and something really cute to have. It's also the perfect kind of like Valentine's Day read because it is that really like sweet little romance and slice of life. Then also with vampires and werewolves, we've got Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is actually a duology. I think it's only going to be a duology, but this follows a vampire and a werewolf who ends up getting married in order to kind of like broker a peace deal between their people. Vampires, humans, and werewolves have all kind of been at war for ages, and there's always conflicts against their borders. So in order to kind of like settle the peace and to kind of make a deal, these 2 characters end up getting married and have to kind of deal with that there. It's really fun, really spicy as well, and I just really enjoyed this one. It is such a great book. I know a lot of people were very shocked when they read it because they hadn't really read any Omegaverse stuff. So if you have read Omegaverse, you'll know what to expect when going into this. If you haven't, you're in for a wild ride. It's pretty tame, but it's also probably a bit unexpected for people that aren't prepared, but I really loved this one. Then also by Ali Hazelwood, we have got Mate. This is kind of like the sequel in a way to Bride. This I didn't love as much as Bride, but think there are a lot of people out there that will enjoy this. In this, we follow 2 werewolves. Specifically, one of the werewolves is half werewolf, half human, so she's kind of got a lot of different things going on with her, and it's really interesting seeing the differences that makes and why she is so different to the people that are fully werewolves. This is again very spicy as well. I feel like the character work was a bit weaker in this than Bride, but these are still pretty solid werewolf characters, and the werewolfness of it is really fun. Then sticking with books that are very spicy and kind of like that monster fucker genre, we have got a lot of Katie Roberts books. I don't remember what the series is called. I'll have to double check, but we've got A Dragon's Bride, The Kraken's Sacrifice, The Gargoyle's Captive, and The Demon's Bargain. I know there is another book in this series, but I've yet to read this, but these are all monster fucker books. As I said, that is what they are. They are some of my favorite books, especially A Dragon's Bride. But in these, we follow all different kinds of monsters. So we've got a dragon, we've got a kraken, we've got a gargoyle, and we have got a demon. I believe the other book is about a succubus, but I've yet to read that one. But these kind of follow women who are going from the human world and have made a deal with a demon, and they are basically getting like sold off or like being sent to these different kingdoms and these different worlds and stuff and realms where these different kind of monsters and creatures oversee and rule them. And for different reasons, all of these rulers of of these realms are at this auction trying to choose one of the girls, whether it needs to be to kind of like help boost population numbers or to satisfy someone else's needs or to try and stop other people from trying to overtake them, take their kingdom. But these are all very interesting and spicy and fun and all unique in their own ways. Like I said, Dragon's Bride is probably my favorite one. This is the first one I've read in the series, and I think it is just like the perfect blend of like really spicy and cozy books, and it is just so much fun, and I love this so much. The other books that I have read are really good as well. These are also queer, and we've got some non-binary characters in them, and they're just really fun and entertaining and really easy books to get through. They do also deal with some tougher subject matters and topics at a time. We talk about like consent as well, and sexual assault and gender identity and sexuality, and it does it all so well in a really fun setting, if that makes sense. Next up is some of Kimberly Lemming's books. She's also got a lot of monster romances. I have only read 2 of hers, and that is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon and then Mistletoe. But these are all monster romances as well. We kind of follow these characters as they get swept up with working with another person. So That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon is it is what the cover says it is. It is what the title says it is. It's just about this girl who ends up getting drunk and saving a demon and kind of follows them on this chaotic mission. Like I said, I've only read the first book, but I've heard really good things about the other ones, and I know she's got some alien ones and some dinosaur ones that I'm hoping to read this year, but they're all really fun. But the female main characters of all of these books are also Black women, which I really appreciate because I feel like that seems to be lacking in times with a lot of the monster books that I see online. People just kind of go for the same sort of things. It's usually vampires and werewolves, which is nothing against them, but I like having some diversity in there with monsters and the people, and I think these books do them really well. Mistletoe is another one I read. This is sort of a Christmassy short story novella that is a really fun book to read around the Christmas time. Then finally, I've got a sapphic trilogy. I've got the omnibus version, and that is the Monster Girlfriend trilogy. This is absolutely stunning, but this is really fun and hilarious and just chaotic in some of the best ways possible. So in this, we follow a human who is kind of going into this other portal. They have some magic abilities of some sort, and they're going through this portal to try and find out what's in there, and they end up discovering this monster, and every time she looks at this monster, she starts screaming and losing her shit. Like, humans can't look at the monster because they start going insane, which I find to be so hilarious. But the monster and the human end up kind of falling in love, and we follow them as they try and navigate being a couple when one person can't look at the other person without going insane. And it's really fun and chaotic, and I love all the twists and turns in this. This is so cozy and cute, and lots of fairy tale elements in this as well. And it's just one of the most perfect sapphic monster books I've ever read, and I absolutely adore it so much. But this is by Marie Cardno, but I really enjoyed this, and I need a lot more people to read it because it is, like the Dragon's Bride, it is the perfect blend of cozy and monstrous, which I absolutely love. But like I said, I really love monster books, and I really need to start reading more. There's a bunch of them that are on my TBR, so I might do another video in a few months' time once I've collected a lot more of them about the monster books I'm planning on reading. But let me know if you have read any of these, or if you have any monster books that I didn't list that you would like to recommend. I'm always looking for more and would love to read more. But yeah, that is it for this week's video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.